Hello everybody, it's Del here again. Just want to put up the next video on Project Cars force feedback. Now I'd like to preface this video with the settings that I'm using here have actually been ones that work for me. I've been doing quite a bit of testing backwards and forwards, and this just seems to feel right for the best that is working at the moment. But I'm sure there's people that may come up with better options and better solutions, and that's great if it works for you, but these are the settings that I've been using and I'm really happy with the results that I'm getting. So basically what I'll show you is this is how I go about it. I've been using the Jack Spade custom files. Now if you go to the Project Cars forums, these are available to download. Just unzip the file and you're presented with these 6 files, standards and alternates. We have a quick look inside one of the files. As you can see, there's a fair bit of information that's in there. I don't want to go through it and can't go through it because it's probably more than I can understand, but there's no doubt that he's done an amazing amount of work. So to apply these files, it's really simple. You just go to your let's open this folder, go to your documents folder, go to the Project Cars 2, and in here you'll see the FFB custom settings. Now, what I did is I renamed the original file. I just put the word _original after it so I don't overwrite the original file. And then I copied the setting that suited me. And the one that I found suited me a bit better than some of the others was this standard mid compressor. So I copied this into this folder. As you can see, I deleted the words stand, mid and comp, and also the spaces and the dash. And if we have a look in there, you can see Jack Spade standard mid compressor. This setting seemed to work. Some of the others I tried, I seemed to be getting a bit of clipping. I was getting a lot of really sort of rough feedback coming through when I was running over ripple strips or the edge of the track. I was always also finding that when I was going down a long straight for instance, I was getting a lot of movement in the steering wheel, a lot of shuddering left and right. So this setting kind of didn't seem to be having those effects. So that's why I ended up settling on the standard mid compressor. So now that I've replaced that with custom settings, what I'd have to do is you go in and launch the game. I'm just launching through the Next Level Racing module, that's because I've got a Next Level base. I'll run it without the VR, so it's easier for this recording. Let the game load up. Just a side note, I'm using a Fanatec V2 base with the BMW GT wheel. So again, this is all based on Fanatec. So you might find that you'll try different adjustments depending on the type of wheel that you have, but it's a good base to start with. So to load these files, the first thing you need to do is go to Options, go into Controls and the force feedback settings. If you have a different flavor in here, either have something like immersive or informative or raw, you need to change this to custom and then quit the game and reboot the game so that the word custom is there after the reboot. Most important thing, make sure you come in and you calibrate your wheels and pedals first. That's always rule number 1. Then on some of the configuration, I have, as you can see from here, I don't have any dead zones on my steering. I do have a small 5 brake dead zone, mainly because I've got a really short throw on my brake and I've got this really bad habit of resting my foot on the brake and sort of kind of activating the brake a little bit. So I've added this little 5% on there just to sort of take away from my stupid heavy foot resting on the brake. And the rest of it's at 0, and then as we come down, this is for the controllers, which I don't use. One of the things that I also have here now is the settings over the top of the custom setting. I have the gain up at 100, and there's explanations for each one of these are. My volume is at 65, my tone at 56 and my FX volume at 51, and I just leave the menu strength at 0.5. Again, there's really good explanations. Just read through these and you'll actually see where, if you want, you can actually make little adjustments to the tone and the FX and the volume, just to suit what you're trying to achieve. With the, I think it's the tone and the volume, you can actually map these if you've got a button box. So I have a DSD button box, and what I've done on a couple of the potentiometer knobs, I've mapped the increased volume and decreased volume control, and an increased tone and a decreased tone control. The main reason I did this is because as I was testing and going through, it was easier just to make the adjustments from the button box to sort of get the feel for what I was after. So that's a really handy feature to be able to do that, because you'll find with Project Cars 2, some of the force feedback may seem really great in one car, but can be a little off in another car. And so usually during a practice session or just testing the cars, if you feel like you want a little bit more bite to the steering wheel, or you feel you want to make some little adjustments, you can do it on the fly if you're using a button box. But again, one of the things I do like most about Project Cars 2, as well, as when you start a game, you can actually get to the options when you're in the pits and actually go in and make adjustments here while you're actually in a game, where I think in the previous version, Project Cars 1, you had to actually quit out of the lobby and everything, and it was a bit on the painful side. Now, on top of this, what I've also done is I've made adjustments to a setting in my steering wheel. So I've set up a profile in my wheel with the Fanatec. There's 5 profiles that you can pick. So I've actually set one of them up, and I'll put some notes of what I've done up down in the notes section of the video. So what I've done is I've changed my steering sensitivity from 900 to 560. And the reason why I did this is because I kind of like not to have too much wheel movement when I'm driving. I like to keep my wheel movement a lot smaller, and I just find it kind of helps a little bit with understeer. Maybe it's just it's sort of faking it a bit, I guess, but again, sim racing. But the 560 on the rotation just really works for me, and I use it not only in Project Cars, I use it in iRacing, I use it in a number of other sims, and I just really like that 560 rotation. It just really works for the way I drive. The other thing I've done is I've set the force feedback on the wheel at 100. I've set the shock on the wheel at 100. I've set my ABS is set at 50. The DRI, which I think is drift, is off. The force is set at 100. The spring strength is set at 100. And I've added a damper setting, a DPR setting of 30. That's also helped just take out a little bit of straight line vibration. And my brake force is set at 50. So like I said, I'll put those down in the notes. Now, again, as I said at the beginning, these are settings that have really worked for me, and I'm really comfortable with it. I mean, it's an amazing game or amazing sim, depending on what you think of it. And I've been really enjoying going through and doing this and just finding these settings that work for me and really enjoying the game. I did do most of the testing on this on the Ferrari GT3 around Spa and Imola and Monza and Catalunya. And then what I did is, once I did that, then I started sort of changing cars to sort of get to a stable result. That's why it's taken me a while to get this up, because I was messing around a lot with a lot of these settings, and again, I found it kind of works for a number of the cars. The only car I did find where it was a bit of an issue was the Indy cars on the oval track. I found there was very little feel coming through from that, but I think maybe that's either a characteristic of a car or something that may get patched a little bit later. But outside of that, I really hope that you guys enjoy this, and I'm sure you're enjoying the game, because it is. I think it's a really excellent sim, and it can only get better. So please leave some feedback. Thank you for all the people who've left some feedback, some great comments. I do try really hard to answer everybody, and we're all here to sort of enjoy this fantastic hobby and help each other. So if anyone can come up with any suggestions for things they'd like for me to do, or if any improvements they think need to be done to any of these settings, please let me know, and I'll definitely take it on board. And like I said, we're all here to enjoy this Unreal hobby. And thanks very much, and I'll talk to you soon.